Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a tag-along discussion. I'm your host, Bilal Khan, and today we have special guest, Saad Tasleem.
Do I have to talk that loud? As loud as you?
No, you could
You're
be
like super loud, man.
I'm super loud. I'm just being me. So this tag-along discussion is going to be in two parts. Part one is going to be on Saad's channel. So if you haven't already subscribed to him on YouTube,
Subscribe now.
youtube.com/Saad
Yep.
Tasleem.
YouTube.com/Saad Tasleem.
Part two is going to be on the Al Maghrib channel.
Yep.
So we're going to be, part one's going to be about Saad, like kind of like what he's got going on. And part two is going to be about kind of like Al Maghrib life.
Yep.
And how Saad bleeds purple. But the funny thing is I'm the one that's wearing purple.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to
Shout out to Chicago for this shirt.
That's a nice shirt though.
I know, I like it.
It's a pretty cool shirt.
I've washed it 3 times and the color is still good. So props to you guys. Not so subtle advertising right here. Saad Tasleem Collection. So as you can see that this is super informal, and the equipment tends to be very touchy. So this way I can slap the table and point at the not so subtle advertising.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know.
Here, hold on. Saad Tasleem Collection.
What's
in
that? Who
in
put
case
that there?
you don't know what it is, it's Saad's cell phone. That's what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
So, guys, be sure to go ahead and Google that.
Just go to saadtasleem.com. I mean, that's what I hear.
Okay.
Yeah, you can go there and there's some information on there.
Yeah, because it's got your name on it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's been a while. And by the way, guys, we just finished up recording hashtag season 3. So
Finally,
a year later.
I actually didn't know if it's coming back because this guy decided to just get up and move to a different city. So
and I already hooked this guy up with everything that he needed to continue producing content, but
high production value, man. I just got spoiled with the high production value. So
and how high production is this?
Actually, it's pretty high production.
Behind the scenes,
to you it looks like kind of ghetto and stuff, but to
it's
me
super
there's like a lot of stuff here, a lot of
simple
cameras,
look. You got the blinds,
a lot of lights.
back.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I'm going to put it out there right now, guys. I told Saad that he should go ahead and revisit every one of your 30 plus hashtag videos and do an expanded edition.
Extended cut,
yes. Ultimate edition, kind of like, go 10-15 minutes into each video, because the videos are themselves like what, 1 to 3 minutes each.
Yeah, they're short.
So, and the cool thing about the hashtag stuff was like, you know what, let's not do lectures. Everybody's doing lectures. Yeah. But even now, a lot of people are doing snippets of lectures. But because there's already kind of an audience around the kind of content that we already put out, it would be cool for you to give more added value to what's already.
I think it's a great idea because they're like a couple minutes and then we can just expand. I mean, there's a lot you can say. A lot more you can say.
No doubt.
For the people who want it, they can get the extended cut, extended version.
And when you do, here's the other thing. That's, again, this is all about disseminating content and stuff. If you do those recordings, you have a decent mic, right? You can put it out there. And then if you do 30 recordings like that, then that could be repurposed as a podcast.
That's a good idea. You know what? I'll record it and send it all to you. You can edit it up for me since it's your idea and all.
Look,
it's on tape. He's officially agreed.
I have not agreed.
Yes, agreed. Yes.
I'm just saying, all you gotta do is just do your thing. Do it nonchalantly.
We'll get it out.
And the other thing is,
one of the things about me is I'm always promising content to people. I was like, it's coming, and then like it's super slow.
And in the meantime,
so I promise it's coming soon.
Yeah, no, without a deadline, right? This is the artist dilemma, right? This is like, you can't put a deadline on these guys. No, but in the meantime, you can just fly down to Houston and just walk in right here.
Sure.
And
I'm always down to come to Houston. high production value.
Held together by gaffer's tape. Brought to you by something like that.
I don't know what that is.
Dude is the one, he spent 5 minutes trying to get that thing to stay up. And now you're just like, I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
But yeah, let's talk about Saad Tasleem Collection. What do you got going on here?
Well, this is something that I've wanted to do actually for a long time.
Okay.
Is come out with, let me be honest.
Yeah.
Not so much a clothing line. What I've wanted to do for a long time is make my own clothes.
Okay.
One of the things that
your own fashion for yourself kind of
thing. Like I'd rather just make my own stuff It started in Medina because you can go there and get like a thobe made to your specifications. You
like
can add stuff. Yeah, tailor-made, and it's cheap.
Is that common there? Like for
it's very common because it's so cheap. Like compared to like a ready-made off-the-shelf thobe, it's like a $10, $15 difference. So I've always
dollars, not like
dollars. I did the math for the exchange rate, whatever.
Gotcha.
But approximately. So when I was in Medina, I always just got my own stuff made, and then coming back to the States and shopping and buying stuff. One of the problems that I always had is that if I'm wearing a shirt, say I go to like H&M or wherever, I buy that shirt. I know someone in the audience is probably wearing the same shirt, right? Someone's got that same shirt or whatever.
For you to have like that unique factors, like
exactly. And look, I understand like it's a lot of it has to do with how you put it together, and that's cool as well.
Yeah.
But to make my own stuff the way I want it to be. That's something that I always wanted to do. So it was like the clothing line is kind of an extension of that. Like if I'm doing it for myself, why not share it with a certain amount of people? And that's why.
Is that why you come out with a limited?
So it's exclusive.
It's a collection, right?
It's collection. It's very limited.
Yeah.
This coming collection, which is coming soon, inshallah. It's on the way. It's 4 to 5 pieces, 4 to 5 designs. We haven't settled on the last one yet. And 100 pieces
of each. Gotcha.
And
so it's like 400 or 500 pieces.
Yeah. Okay. And that's it.
And that's it. Once it's done, it's sold. It's gone. It's done.
It's gone. And you will never see that same piece being done by us ever again. Like next season, we're going to do new designs.
Gotcha.
We're moving on. Like I'm sure people will copy like our designs and stuff.
Right.
But we don't care because we're done. That's like, it's done. We've made it.
But that's kind of, that's kind of how the fashion industry is.
Yeah.
Right. Like they always come out with the season of clothes, the same brand or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, but it's just like, let me ask you this: what is it that makes some of the stuff that you're making? What's unique about it?
Well, first of all, it comes from my sense of style.
Okay.
Fashion is a word that I don't.
Subjective.
It's very subjective. I actually don't like the word fashion. What's stylish is what you feel the best in, like what you feel good in. Like you can put on the most fashionable clothes.
Yeah.
But if you don't feel good in it,
you know, it's funny you talk about feeling good. So, local high school here. So one of the guys, he was running around in slippers. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what are you doing, man? He's like, what are you running in slippers for? He's like, I was late for school, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, and he's like, it's raining and whatever. I'm like, look, get yourself a nice, decent paper. Like, there's a couple of different brands of shoes in which, like, if you get wet or whatever, in Houston, it rains a lot, right? So if you're going to be going in between buildings and whatnot, your feet are going to get wet. If you got like, kind of like water resistant type of sneakers and shoes, still have all that functionality, you'd be cool. But it's like, no, man, see, they're not brand name. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's just like, who cares if it's brand name or not? It fixes your functionality. Yeah. It does what you want to do, and they look good. So who cares if they're like not Nike or Reebok or Adidas or what have you?
Yeah, I agree. I'm also going to say this. You can go too far in the other direction too. Like there's certain things, at least me personally, you're free to do whatever you want to do, right? Like who cares what people think? Yeah. But me personally, certain lines should never be crossed. Crocs. Or even worse, even worse, socks and then putting Crocs on, or socks and sandals.
Well, yeah, socks and Crocs together just kind of defeats the purpose, right? But that doesn't remove the fact that they're terribly ugly,
atrocious.
We're
gonna get a bunch of hate comments right now. Anybody who wears Crocs,
who actually wears Crocs?
A lot of people wear Crocs.
Really?
A lot of people wear Crocs, yeah.
Why?
Well, first of all, there's like a lot of professionals that wear, like certain professions, I think like nurses and stuff.
Really?
People are on their feet a lot, I think.
Okay.
I don't know. But yeah, they're very common. Crocs are.
But they're not comfortable. I don't know.
People say they're comfortable, so.
But I'm comfortable on bare feet, so.
Different story.
Different story, right?
I'll tell you a story about when I started with Al-Maghrib. I know part 2 is about Al-Maghrib.
Yeah.
But when I started with Al-Maghrib, one of the instructors, I'm not going to say who, I don't want to put anybody on blast, but one of the instructors like, you're going to be teaching now, you're going to be standing for hours, right? Yeah. We start at 10 a.m. and at 7.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So they're like, there's these shoes, you got to buy these shoes. They're like really comfortable. And he's like, a bunch of instructors have them. I'm like, okay, I'll check them out. And then I saw the shoes.
And they're like ugly.
And I was like, dude, I'm not wearing those. I'm like, I will be uncomfortable for 12 hours, but I'm not putting those on.
Yeah.
So I don't know. For me, like I said, certain lines I don't cross, but like I said, teach their own. If you feel good, you do you, right?
True.
So,
but
no judgment here. A little bit of judgment. but who cares?
I remember the first edition of your Saad Tasleem collection. Was it the one from Malaysia?
Yeah. So people thought. So what happened was I want to do like a soft launch, right? Okay. Just to get the idea out there that I'm coming out with a clothing line, just to get people used to the idea, because I get it, like public speaker or sheikh, whatever, and then like a fashion line. It's like, it's just weird, but right?
People don't really, I don't know how many people know this, but I mean, I know you mentioned it, but like you've got a design background.
Yeah, I do. I have a design and art background. So yeah, for me, it's completely natural.
And that's one of the reasons we jive well. It's like,
yeah,
I mean, it's like whatever. No, but seriously, honestly, there's very few instructors that I can explain a concept to, design wise, advertising wise, communication wise, and you get it. Right. Yeah. And we can just get right into the crux of the content of what needs to be displayed. Whereas other people, it's just like, no, I want like this, I want like that. It's like, what are you talking about? That doesn't even make any sense.
I call it client talk.
Yeah.
Like make it pop. Make it,
What does that mean? Exactly. What's the objective you're trying to accomplish? Yeah. Like you just wanted to pop? Or it's just like, but like having, and I would assume that a big portion of that design background lent itself into the fashion.
Definitely. It definitely had it. Like I said, for me, it's completely natural. It's a natural thing to do. But I get that for people who don't know me, that don't understand my design background, like it seems weird. So just to get that idea out there, I did like a soft launch, which was we printed some shirts and just had like a little design on a t-shirt. Just we sold like a certain amount at they were at Ilmfest, limited amount, so people thought we're a t-shirt company. Oh, okay. And I'm like, no. We're not a t-shirt company. There's a lot of t-shirt companies out there. Yeah. The t-shirt market is actually super saturated. Yeah. Like everyone's doing t-shirt. We're not doing t-shirts.
It's so easy to make a t-shirt design. I mean, it's like you get whatever t-shirts, unless your t-shirt is like, one thing that I haven't seen from t-shirt companies, if people actually use that dry fit material, the polyester blend.
So there's like a very small percent of the population that's interested in that. People like you, and then that's it.
No, but it fits so well. It looks good. And you can go through hundreds of washes and it still doesn't fade. And it's like, and the thing is, as long as it looks normal, it doesn't look like as if it's activewear, right? Yeah. Like it's something that you could wear to your normal everyday stuff. Yeah. But it's still like fashionable.
Yeah, look, I'm not saying I'm never going to do a t-shirt. Mm-hmm. Actually, who knows? Maybe in like a summer collection, we might add a t-shirt, but it's what you said. It's about how you do it, right? Yeah. It's about the fabric. It's about the feel. It's also about the cut. It's about what you put on there. So yeah, you're right. You can do cool stuff with it, but I just want to be like, we're not a t-shirt line.
Gotcha. Is that why you haven't reproduced another t-shirt?
Yeah, we're not doing those t-shirts anymore. Gotcha. Like I said, if we do a t-shirt, it's going to be...
It's a cool design, man. Just like over the shoulder.
Yeah. Sheikh Kamal was rocking it, man. Yeah. He looks good in it.
I'll put up a picture or something to see what I mean. But no more of that.
People wanted those, and I was considering doing another run, but I was like, no, I'm not going to do it because I don't...
I like that principle. It's like, look, we're done. We're moving on.
And that's the idea, right? So I'm okay with sharing my clothes with about 100 people. Right. Yeah. Beyond that, sorry. That's why every piece, and I'm personally gonna be wearing this stuff, right? You're gonna see me wearing it at my classes, conferences, or whatever, formal events or whatever. And so I'm going to be wearing this, and I'm okay with having about 100 people in the world having the same thing. Yeah,
it would just be awkward. Like
more than that, I'm like,
I like the idea that it's done is done.
And we're moving on. Plus, it also keeps it interesting for me. Mm-hmm. And I have a designer who works with me as well. He's actually a fashion designer. But it keeps things interesting for us as well because we don't want to just do the same stuff over and again. We have to challenge ourselves every 6 months or every year to come out with new, fresh designs. Yeah. So,
what has been the challenge thus far with the next run? Like you talk about, it's going to be soon, but I would assume that there's been whatever delays.
There have been delays. I mean, there's this. Obviously, we've been talking about this for a long time. Our Instagram page is up. Yeah. We have a Facebook page. Check us out, by the way. We're on Instagram, Saad Tasleem Collection. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we've been talking about it for a while. So one of the big challenges was having our designs come out exactly the way we wanted it. Okay. So for me, like I said, this is personal for me. Like I'm going to be wearing these clothes. So before even like the people who are going to be buying these clothes, I have to be 100% happy with them. So those little details, like making sure everything is the way I want it, like things have to look a certain way. Okay. And they have to feel a certain way. I don't want to give away too much, but so one of our designs, we have a pattern or a print on on the garment.
Okay.
So the way that print is done, like you can do it in different ways. You can do a digital transfer, you can do screen printing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So, and all of that makes a difference.
Or sublimation type. I guess it depends on the material that you're printing.
Right, exactly, right? Exactly. Yeah. So when you screen print something onto a fabric, it's going to feel different. Yeah. It's going to look different in certain lights as opposed to maybe like digital printing.
Okay.
So just that little detail, make sure that looks right. Make sure it looks the way I wanted it to look.
Okay.
And so
it's more of a piece of art to you than it is.
It definitely. Okay. I mean, this is even like me, my designer as well, Maureen, for both of us, he's very passionate about it as well. We're super passionate about making sure it is honestly.
It is what it has to be. Okay.
I know this sounds cliched, but yeah, it's a business as well, right? Yeah. Don't get me wrong. But for me, it's the process of creating everything. Like that's the fun part for me. Yeah. And everything else is like, that's why I'm like, I need somebody else to handle like the business side of it, because first of all, I just don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Second of all, it's completely boring to me. Like I'm not interested in that. Like I'm interested in just like the process. Yeah. Gotcha, creating.
Gotcha. Just all of those details.
The details. It's about the details. And that's the other thing, right? Because we're doing a limited amount, and I'll just be honest with you, it's going to be a little pricey. Mm-hmm. And I understand.
It's designer clothing.
Yeah. So, and I understand that most people are not going to really, I don't know, maybe they won't appreciate those little details, but some people will.
Yeah.
Like the stitching and this and that, like the small, subtle things that we did. It's for the people who will appreciate that.
Yeah.
So that's why, that's what it's for.
I mean, it's for a limited market type of people. And so it's okay, you have a particular cut and things like that. So, and it's something that you're looking at yourself. So is it fair to say somebody with your body type would be the appropriate fit for it? Or
so how does that work? Trying to be as versatile as possible.
Okay.
Right. I can't guarantee it's going to fit everybody perfectly.
Because my challenge, just to be frank, right?
Yeah.
Like I can do t-shirts and activewear easy. And I think that's how activewear is designed.
Yeah.
But if I go and get myself like a decent collar shirt,
yeah,
dude, I have to spend literally an hour and a half at the shopping store trying on every other different kind of shirt. Right. And finally, when one fits, it's hard for me to find another one just like it. And even when it does fit, I still have to tailor it.
Look, I have the same problem. So we did keep that in mind, and we're trying to design the clothes in a way that it will look good on a variety of different body shapes. So we're trying our best to cater to as many people as possible. Like I said, it's about how you feel in it, right? Like if you don't feel good in clothing, what's the point? Yeah.
Other than the fact that you have to cover yourself, but
you can do that with a loincloth, like anything. If it's just about covering, I mean, you can just...
this is pure function. It's like, well...
You can wear the ihram. I mean, that's, that's very close to what the Prophet would wear sometimes, just two pieces of cloth, just one on the bottom, one on the top, you're good.
A lungi and a cloak.
There you go. That's, I mean, that fulfills the requirements.
Yeah, so cool. So, you are a dad. Right?
Yeah.
You've been a dad for what? Almost 2 years now.
Year and a half.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
How's that like? How's that different transitioning from?
It's changed my life. Like I know, once again, I know it sounds very cliched. Mm-hmm. And if I actually, listening to myself, like if I heard someone saying like, yeah, I'm a dad now and it changed my life, I'd be like, okay, I get it. But I still can't help myself from saying that because that's the truth. That's the reality of it. I've experienced things that I never thought I'd experience. I've been through...
if you were to articulate those feelings, what would you say?
Okay, so one of the best ways I would say is a quote that I found. I don't remember whose quote it is, and I can't quote it exactly because I don't remember the exact quote. Paraphrasing. The quote says something like, having a child is like having your heart be outside of your body walking around.
Interesting.
Right?
Okay.
So, and that's how it feels. That... like this is a piece of me, like my heart, like it's this thing that's walking around like that. It's that dear to me.
Okay.
Like love. Look, a lot of people.
It's not even love, but you're just protective of it.
It's and a lot of that comes from that love, right? Like I think a lot of people who, unless you have children, and this is what I've come to right now, I don't think you've experienced the full extent of love.
Okay.
Like look, growing up. I love my parents, right? Mm-hmm. I love my mom a lot. And I was like, okay, that's love. Like that's what love. Wife, right? Like, okay, love, passion, all that kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, that's the intensity of love. And then I had my child. And I'm like, I've never experienced love to this capacity.
Okay.
And I have no qualms with saying that. Like my mom might get upset at my wife or whatever, but I don't love them like with I love them, but not as much, not to that like not to the degree in which I love my son.
Okay.
And which is, it's scary, man. It's scary to love something that much.
Yeah.
Right. And even like, Islamically, we're not supposed to love anything above Allah and his messenger.
Yeah.
And that's, in that point, it becomes a challenge, and you realize the challenge that we have in that very aspect of Islam. Okay. Right? That's a challenge. That's a struggle. And when you have kids, you begin to see that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about children as wealth and something to that people boast about. And I never really understood that. I'm like, why would you like children? They're just annoying. They're, their work. You got to deal with like, I would never, but when you have a child, like, then you realize it's a fitna. It becomes a test and a trial. Okay. So I wasn't ready for that. SubhanAllah, I've been critical of parents. Yeah. Because
until you became a parent.
Until I became a parent, and then I deal with a lot of parents. I deal with a lot of parents dealing with teenagers. Okay. Right. My son doesn't listen to me, and he does this and that. I caught him, whatever, smoking pot or this, that, whatever. And I was like, I'm tell parents you need to chill out. Mm-hmm. Right. The more protective you get, the more
they're gonna push them away.
You're gonna push them away, right? And I'm always like, now. That's still my advice. I never thought I'd be this overprotective father, and I have to hold myself back because I can see myself doing what a lot of other parents do. Okay. Actually, my wife calls me out on it. She's like, in your talk, you're mentioning how parents, you're becoming similar, and I really have to just like consciously like hold myself back. And a lot of that goes also to putting your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Trusting that they'll be all right.
Trusting that they'll be all right. Trusting that, sometimes you want to, like, we can't force guidance upon anyone. True. Right? No, we can't force guidance upon anyone.
I'm just wondering now, like, does being a father now and then looking upon the verses of the Quran from the perspective of being a father, does it a whole new light?
A whole new light. Yeah. A whole new light. The pain of Yaqub alayhi salam, right? I understood it, but not the way I understand it right now. Okay. Right?
It's a lot more intimate.
So much more intimate.
Okay.
Just even like you hear people say, probably one of the most difficult things you can face in your life, most severe things you can face is losing a child. Right? And I've heard that, and I'm like, okay, I'm sure that's true. But now, may Allah protect our children. But now I'm like, I totally see that. I mean, the point where like, even seeing your child in pain is like hurts. I can't imagine. I can't even imagine, subhanAllah, how big of a test that is.
Yeah. I remember is the name that you chose for your son, Layth. Yeah. Right? Now, your nickname in Medina was Abu Layth.
Abu Layth. Okay. And that came from, I moved to Medina. I had two roommates. I was living in the dorms the first year. Yeah. And my roommates were like, what's your kunya? I'm like, I don't have a kunya. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you're Abu what? I'm like, nothing. I'm like, I'm not married. They're like, you don't have to be married. I'm like, I don't have any kids. Yeah. They're like, you don't have to have kids to have a kunya. I'm like, well, I don't have a kunya. They're like, can we give you a kunya? And I'm like, sure, go at it. Like, let's see what you come up with. Uh-huh. And literally, I think it was like the next day, they come up to me and they're like, you're Abu Layth. Okay. And I'm like, and this is I've just gotten to Medina. I haven't studied a lot of Islam yet. And I'm like, okay, I guess, like, why? And they're like, well, there's a famous imam. His name was Imam Al-Layth ibn Sa'd. Al-Layth, the son of Sa'd. And they're like, he's like famous faqih, famous muhaddith, scholar of fiqh and hadith. And so your son will be Al-Layth ibn Sa'd. I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So then, I started using it. People call me like Abu Layth, Abu Layth. I never thought much of it until we started studying fiqh and jurisprudence. Yeah. And then I remember clearly sitting in class, we would take the opinions of the four imams. And very often we would also take the opinion of Imam Al-Layth, right? We would say, Imam Abu Hanifa said this, Imam Malik said this was there. And then Imam Al-Layth said this.
When did he live? Like, what was his time period?
He was early on. To the point where if today, I believe during Imam Malik's time? I believe he's contemporary, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he's around the time of Imam Malik, if I'm not mistaken.
Got it. Do you know where? Like, what region?
I want to say Egypt area. Okay. For some reason, that's ringing a bell. Gotcha. But Allah Alam. I don't recall exactly.
The thing is, why isn't Imam Al-Layth as popular?
Okay, so that was my question. Yeah. Right? I'm like, wait, like, first of all, why are we taking his opinion? Okay. In these matters? Like, who is he? And second of all, like, why isn't there if we're mentioning him alongside Imam Malik, Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Ahmed, and so on, why isn't there a Laythi madhab? So, I found out later that if his works were preserved till today, then we would it's very possible that we could have a fifth madhab, which is the Laythi madhab.
Okay.
But it's simply...
But what about
look, there's different reasons why madhab...
because the proliferation of either the adoption of the laws
it can be adopted
by the government.
Exactly. It can be adopted by the state. The students preserve it and so on. There's many different reasons. Yeah. So for whatever reason, right, it seems that not enough of his opinions were preserved to codify it into a madhab. Okay. But there's quite a bit of his opinions that are available.
Now, because from what I've understood, I only learned about the Laythi after talking to you, right? And but in my mind, if there was a fifth madhab, it would be the Lahiri madhab, right? So the question that comes up is, what's the difference between the two of them? Not in terms of, because I know Lahiris are very literalist and all that.
So some people would consider the Lahiri madhab considered a madhab.
Okay.
Right?
And it was only revived because of Ibn Hazm, which was much later. But I guess...
So in Medina, we would take the opinion of the four imams. Yeah. We would take Imam al-Layth sometimes. Yeah. And sometimes we would even take the Lahiri opinion.
Okay.
So when you study comparative fiqh, depending on where you study, but you take the Lahiri opinion as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it just depends on who's doing the teaching.
Exactly. And comparative fiqh, not to get technical or whatever, but comparative fiqh is something that is supposed to be an advanced subject. Okay. Like the way it was done.
You need to know the fiqh to compare it.
Exactly. You need to understand the fiqh to compare it. Yeah. Right? And the problem is sometimes people jump to comparative fiqh
before they even know what the rules are.
Exactly. Yeah. Right? So before they even understand the issues. Yeah. So this is why classically the way it was done was you would study a madhab. Yeah. You would start with the basics of the madhab. You would actually start with just the opinion, the main opinion. You wouldn't even take evidences and all that kind of stuff.
Just take the codified content.
Yeah, so this is halal, this is haram, that you do this in this way. Just the rules and whatever. That's all you have. Yeah. And then the next step would be something like, okay, here's one evidence. Okay. Right? And then you add more evidences to it. And then you know, for example, in the Hanbali madhab, you take khilaf, difference opinion inside the madhab. Because sometimes there's differences inside the madhab. Yeah. And then you go through all of that process, and now you've become like a master, or you're good at your madhab, you understand your madhab, you understand the issues. Yeah. Once you've done that, then you move on to comparative fiqh. Okay. Right? So it's that process that the person technically should go through.
And that's more like a master's degree plus, right?
Exactly.
At what point did you really decide you know what, I'm actually going to name my son Layth?
When I started to kind of learn more about Imam al-Layth, and when his name would come up quite often, it was around that time that I was like, yeah, it's cool. I like it. And then, linguistic, what it means, it's like a lion or like a cub.
Lion cub, yeah. You know how many different versions or different words they have for a lion in the language?
In Arabic, yeah.
It's interesting. But is it specifically a lion cub, or is it just a cub cat family?
No, it's a lion cub. Okay. It's not a cat. It's not a little cat.
It's like it's a Persian kitten.
No, it's not a kitten. But yeah, my wife now is like, maybe we shouldn't have named him that, because he's he's getting closer to terrible twos or whatever. So he's all over the place. She's like, is that his name coming to light?
I wonder how often do children really embody the characteristic of the name that they're given?
Arabs back in the day would really believe that.
Okay.
Right? They would really believe that if I name my son something, they will, or my daughter, they will really embody that name. For example, there's a name which I heard when I was studying in Medina. I thought was so weird. Yeah. The name is Mut'ib.
Mut'ib, okay.
Mut'ib comes from ta'ib, which is like tired, to be tired. Mut'ib is the one who
makes
other people tired, right? So if you're annoyed with someone, or even as your child, right? You're into mut'ib, you're tiring me, you tire me out.
So exhausting,
right? Yeah. And I'm like, why would you name your son Mut'ib?
Yeah.
But
in the context of tribalism and war and things
exactly.
like that, right?
So they would say, هو متعب لعدونا. He's tired. He will tire out our enemies.
Okay.
Right. Tribal warfare and all that kind of stuff. So they would or صعب. صعب means difficult.
Okay.
Right. Why would you name your son difficult? Right. But it's difficult for the people who will go against him. And that's the other thing. The crazy thing about the name Layth, and I think a lot of people are going to name their child Layth after they hear all this, but I love the name. Alhamdulillah. Weird thing about the name Layth is that Desis, right, have a hard time with the name, because there's a tha in it, right?
Yeah.
So there's no tha in Urdu.
Yeah, there's.
There's a tha, but it's pronounced sa.
Okay, yeah, fair
right?
enough. Yeah.
Like
lace. Well, no, wait.
No, like Uthman is
Usman. Okay.
Usman.
Oh yeah, okay.
Right?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah.
So people are confused. They're like lace. They're like lace. So it's strange to me, but in the American culture for Americans, right, or like people who speak English, it's perfect. His first doctor's appointment, the nurse comes out and she's like Laith Tasleem, and I'm like, what? Like perfect pronunciation.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize that until like after I named my son.
Enunciation of the letters is very prevalent.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something people need to keep in mind is like if you're gonna name your kid in an American context, maybe you want to keep in mind of how that's gonna sound.
Yeah, I mean, look, me personally, I'm in two minds about this issue. On one hand, I think we need to preserve our culture.
Yeah.
We need to preserve the Arab names, Arabic names, or Persian names, or whatever.
Mm-hmm. But there's so many cool, like for example. Like there's one, I think a great name for a daughter is Lanakea.
Okay.
It means boundless heaven in Hawaiian.
Okay.
And it is, in fact, this name that they gave to our galaxy's supercluster when they measured all the stars. But it's an amazing name. Okay.
So yeah, for a name like that, I would just be like, just need to make sure there's no like religious connotation.
Okay.
Right. Because we can't use names that have religious meanings, non-Islamic religion. Yeah. But in general, yeah, you can name as long as the name is doesn't have a negative meaning. It does not related to like someone else's a different religion. Then yeah, you can name your son John or Peter or whatever. Yeah. No, my point is like it doesn't matter. But look, like I said,
John, like might as well go Yahya.
But that's the thing, right? Like people are gonna have Yahya, right? Okay. People are going to have a hard time with that. Well, John...
I think my problem is people who are actually called Yahya, who call themselves Yahya.
I mean, sometimes, look, a kid goes to school, like they grow up with the name Yahya, and like they hear that name in elementary and then middle, and then everybody's always called me Yahya, so he's like, okay, I'm Yahya, whatever, it's fine. Right? But like I said, I'm in two minds about this. On one, so part of me is like, no, we should keep naming those names. People will learn. Like we've learned the name Jose. Right? Okay. We get it.
Yeah.
Right?
But what else could it have been?
My point is they could have, whatever. They could have been a name that is more common to like white people or something.
Joe?
Right? Whatever.
Okay.
So we know that name now.
Yeah.
So if we hold on to that part of our culture, maybe, the next generation, they're like, yo, Abdullah. Yeah. Abdullah is a common name.
Okay.
Abdullah. Abdurrahman. Yeah. People will learn how to say it. Just how they learn to say Jose instead of Joe's whatever. How would you pronounce it?
No, I've always heard Jose.
Yeah, because you've heard that name and pronounced correctly, right?
Yeah.
So
actually, my when I was in Spanish class in school, everybody was
and you've been exposed to that culture.
Yeah,
exactly.
But like in Spanish class in school, everybody was given a Spanish name. My Spanish name was Jose.
There you go.
Like. Why are we changing my name?
So maybe one day, culture. In a class somewhere in America, people are going to be given like Arab names, and someone's going to be like Abdullah, creeping Sharia.
Creeping Sharia, right? But cool, yeah.
So that's one side of the argument. The other side of the argument is, listen, do you really want to put your kid through that? Are people butchering his name or her name?
But the other thing also is like, is the name seemingly sounding like something that's weird?
Islamically or just
it could be like his name is Fakhr.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But that's like an obvious, like I'd be like, yeah, probably not
a good idea to name your kid Fakhr.
Yeah.
So which is it's a good name, but it's just not good in this context.
Yeah.
But yeah. You're just like, okay, dude. You're taking it too far.
No, that's a good example. I mean, you're right. Like what do you do with that name?
We're gonna wrap this episode up. Sorry guys.
Super high tech.
Yeah, right.
High production value.
We
kind of shot ourselves in the foot when we started off with saying high production value.
He said high production value. I was just like, what do you?
It looks good to me.
So, but yeah, I mean, Saad, thanks for joining us on this episode.
Thank you for having me.
Again, this was like catching up with Saad in terms of everything that he's got going on. Saad Tasleem Collection. Check out if you can. Here, hold on. Let me unstick that. See, there you go. Saad Tasleem Collection. It's did they go to saadtasleem.com or?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can
or is it just saadtasleem.com / or
No, saadtasleem.com.
Okay, there you go. Saadtasleem.com and
Instagram. Check us out on Instagram.
Yeah, and so that's totally blurry. Sorry.
It's all good. I think they got it.
So yeah, guys. See you guys soon. Check out part 2 over at the Al Maghrib channel.
Show them some love, man. Show Al Maghrib some love.
Yeah, some get subscribers or whatever. I got my own kind of like show there called Tag Along.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, that is called
I heard it's not that great.
Yeah, it depends on who's on the show, you know.
Yeah,
like
okay.
if somebody's cool on the show, then maybe some people might watch it.
Okay. All right. All right.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.